Hello, excellent people. This is your daily excellence for April 30th, 2021. Yesterday, I spoke about choice and I told a story about some choices that I have made that have led me to where I am. And towards the end of that video, I keyed into this idea of making the choices that are available to you. And so that's what I want to talk about today is rather than waiting to choose the option that you want, look at the options that are available and choose the best of those options. There was, I believe it was a Jordan Peterson video, or it may have been in one of his books, that he spoke about low doors. And I don't remember the details of what he said, but I'll kind of give you my version of it because I think that it's a relevant way of thinking about things. We have to be honest with ourselves, right? So self-awareness has been a key component of much of what I've talked about. We have to be honest about where we are in our life, not where we want to be, but where we are now. We have to recognize that if we have lofty goals at some place in the high distant future, the doors that are open to that person are not even visible to us, much less open. So we have to look around us and see what doors are actually open to us, or which doors are actually available, or even just in sight. And we have to, of course, recognize that life is a maze, right? It's almost like this hall of mirrors kind of thing. You open a door, and you think, okay, well, I'm going to open this door and it's going to open onto this hallway, and I'm going to pass through this hallway, and there's going to be another door, and I'm going to open that door. And we think of things in this very linear process, but life is not very linear in reality. And the one door opens, and there are hundreds of other doors that become available as a consequence of that. And we can plot a trajectory over time, but if we become very focused on the trajectory in the present, we will lose sight of the options available to us. So, my personal philosophy is to orient actively, regularly, daily at or weekly or monthly, but orient regularly to your goals, to where you want to be going, and thus make lots of short-term decisions that are well oriented to your long-term goals. That's my advice for how to live in a way that gets you where you want to be going, but doesn't pass up the opportunities that are available in the present. And it doesn't get you so locked into a path that isn't what you think it is. So that's sort of philosophically my thought process, but it's well connected to this notion that I'm talking about with opening the doors that are available to you now. And understanding that you don't know what's behind those doors. You don't really know if I open this door that seems to go in the direction I want to be going, and then I enter that room, and suddenly that room is shaped like a U, and the only door is facing back the way I came. But you can't go backwards, right? That's the trick, I guess. I didn't highlight that until just now, but all of those of you who have lived this long and are seeing this video know that you cannot go backwards. You can reflect upon what you've done, but you can't actively go backwards. So you enter this room, and the door closes behind you and it locks, or it closes behind you and it disappears, right? Now we're still talking about that sort of dream-like hall of mirrors thing. And I'm trying to create this visual metaphor because I think it's interesting to use this. But if you've ever been to like one of those mazes, like a corn maze, for example, corn maze might be a bad example because in corn mazes you can kind of cut through and you don't have to stay in the maze proper, but just bear with me. So you enter this space and you want to be going to the north, and the door opens to the north, and you walk 5 steps north, 5 steps east, 5 steps south, and then there's a new door, and that's the only door that was available in that path, right? I think I made the point well enough, so I don't want to go and beat this to death. But my point that I'm trying to make in less abstract sense is you don't know where the door is going, but you have to make a choice because, like we said, you have to make a choice because you've decided that your decisions have a survival impact. Your survival depends upon the decisions that you make, so you have to decide. And you have to decide based on what's actually available to you right now. So you go, you hope for the best, you assess the options available to you based on the long-term strategic goal and based on your limited understanding of what those doors actually entail, right? We can parse this information, we can look at decisions, and we can say, well, I want to start a new job, like I said in that last one, and I go and I apply to different companies, and the companies in the interview process give you a feel for what they're about. And one of those companies, you're like, wow, I really don't get a good feel off of these people. I think that they're not in alignment with my values. So you don't accept the offer, even if they offer you one, versus the one that you have at least a neutral feeling about. And you say, okay, well, I think I can go here. And at the minimum, I'm not going to be fighting against my own goals, fighting against my own virtues and values. And maybe it's not a direct route towards my path, but at least it's not a direct route away. And these are the kinds of decisions you have to make when you're opening low doors, right? These low doors are not going to look ideal. And so you may have to choose the least bad option. But if you choose the least bad option enough and continue to orient to least bad option, you will find that given enough time and enough effort and enough struggling through it even when you don't want to, right? This is going back to that pain conversation that I had a couple of days ago. The opportunities will finally reveal themselves because you have been orienting yourself to your goal to the best of your ability, given your current circumstances, given your current level of influence, given your current level of skill, etc. So that's, in a nutshell, my approach to orienting to this, choosing the options that are actually available to you. And so going all the way back to what I began with on this talk, recognize that when you make a choice, you don't get to choose the ideal, you get to choose from the options that are actually available to you. And if you don't, you will not choose, and instead you will languish and you will wander and you will drift and you will go any direction, and you will forfeit the opportunity to have some agency in the process. You will forfeit the opportunity to learn from your mistakes. You will forfeit so many opportunities, and you will simply drift and hope for the best. And so many people drift and then are bitter because they don't live the lives they want to be living. Now, there are an exceptional few who can drift and be happy, and I admire the hell out of those people. I'm not really one of them. And so if you're like me, then consider the framework that I have presented here in your decision-making process. And if you are one of those rare people, then man, by all means, keep at it. Keep drifting, keep enjoying life. I admire the hell out of your zen. So with that, I'll go ahead and close for today. Thank you for watching. I encourage you to continue to go out there, aim at excellence, and then orient your decisions accordingly. Make the decisions that are available to you and reorient regularly and keep on aiming at excellence.